welcome to this latest session in our Where Are the Interns Now series. My name is Ellie Lose, and I'm the Research and External Engagement Officer here at the John Smith Center, and your host for the next 30 minutes. Our mission at the John Smith Center is to make the positive case for politics and public service. We do that in three ways. Through research, by studying the relationship between the public and their public servants, through our various internship and development programs designed to break down the barriers people face accessing public life, and through advocacy with public events. We are currently in our 10th anniversary year with a host of events. We're hosting a lot of events such as this one. Our Where Are the Interns Now series will shine a light on our alumni, their career journey, and how the John Smith Center supported them on their way. Today, we are joined by Amy Fraser, former intern of our parliamentary internship program. Amy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm really happy to join in.
Yeah, I'm very glad to hear it. We'll dive right into it. Could you, just to start us off, introduce yourself a little bit and tell us a bit more about your time at the John Smith Center and what the parliamentary internship entailed for you?
Yeah, of course. So as you say, my name's Amy Fraser. Back in 2019, I did the parliamentary internship. It was at the start of the year, the January to April cohort. And I was randomly placed with Hamza Yousaf at that time. Had a great experience on the internship. I really loved it. And since then was asked to come back and work for Hamza, and I've kind of worked my way through all the various different roles you could possibly be in a constituency office, and worked for another MSP for a while, but then came back to Hamza, and now I'm the office manager 5 years later. So I really have tried and tested every little avenue of this office.
Very nice. That sounds really successful. You just touched upon your, from the way from your internship to your current job. Did that happen right away, or was there some time in the middle to finish your studies, or was that really a really direct succession of events there?
Yeah, so I was in my third year when I did the internship, and I finished up in the April, and then that was all good. It was really nice, left on really good terms, and I just continued my studies, enjoyed my summer holidays. And then it was about the October time, I got a message from Hamza saying, like, oh, are you free for a call? And I thought, oh my God, what have I done? I made a huge mistake that they've come across, and like, they need me to rectify it or something. I was like, I have leaked some kind of secret. I didn't even know there were secret. Do you know, there's not even anything that I could have shared, is there? I was panicking. And then he phoned and was like, oh, we were really impressed with you in the internship, and we're a bit short-staffed at the moment and wondered if you joined the team. And I was like, oh, this was not the conversation I thought we were going to have. I was so unprepared for it. But I was more than happy to do anything. So I was in my fourth year, thinking about those next steps in my career. You know, I had a part-time job working at a local cafe, and I was like, that's great for kind of getting an income whilst I'm at uni, but I want to do something that's more directly related to what I wanted to do after uni. So yeah, I took it. It was just like 1 day a week at first, and then it was 2. And then gradually, you know, COVID happened, and I was able to keep up working there. And then eventually they were able to find me more permanent hours in that office. So it started off being quite a temporary thing. It's a bit of a running joke in that office. Once you kind of join the office, you never really leave. You always kind of stick around forever. A bit like Hotel California, you can check out, but you can never leave, is our motto, basically. So yeah, as I say, that kind of just really naturally and gradually built up my time with them. They were able to offer me more and more hours, more permanent job contracts. There was a time where it was coming to an end, but they knew their colleague Fiona Hislop had maternity leave cover coming up in her office, so they recommended me there. I interviewed for the job, and I was able to do that, and had an amazing time in their office as well. It was really good to get a different experience. But then it came to the election, and Hamza approached me again and said, right, we can get you full-time, 5 days a week, more responsibility. And I was like, I've got to take it.
You obviously left a good impression. Getting that phone call must have been so scary, but also exciting. Very cool.
Definitely.
Thinking back on before you actually did the internship, can you remember and talk us through why you wanted to apply for the program?
Yeah, so I'm probably not the best example. I found out about the internship a day before the deadline. I was just looking at I think we got kind of monthly updates from the internship team at Glasgow Uni. And I saw this and I saw, public service, and I thought, oh, what's that? And once I read the job description, I thought, that is a bit of me. Like, I don't know what it is I want to do next, but I know it's about helping people. And because for me, being interested in politics, it isn't really about the party political stuff. It's about actually connecting with people and trying to help them. So when I read what constituency officers did and what MSPs actually did, I thought, I have to go for this and cue the next 24 hours of me sending millions of drafts to my family, then firing them back, me not knowing if I was going to get it. And then fortunately I did. And I'm very glad that happened, because I certainly wouldn't look back. I've got a lot to thank the John Smith Centre for letting me go on this journey.
Sounds like an intense 24 hours for you and your family.
Very stressful.
Nice.
Very, very stressful. Yeah.
Cool. Can you elaborate a little bit around what your role entails now and how the internship experience has helped you prepare for the role that you're doing?
Yeah. So as office manager, you basically are overseeing every aspect of the office and helping line manage people. You have almost the final say. Obviously, your MSP has the ultimate final say on stuff, but I'm allowed to kind of check off and sign off of a lot of things. And so the experience in the internship really was the foundations for this job. In the internship, I got the experience of shadowing everyone in the office, going out into the constituency, learning about the different groups in the community and what they do and how the area works, the Glasgow Pollock area, because it's a large amount of area, actually. It's lots of different communities and amazing organizations and people within it. So the internship really let me have a look at everything and realize that I could see myself fitting in that office and wanting to help those people. All the expertise and knowledge I learned from my colleagues, some of them are still my colleagues now, was just incredible. All their experience and knowledge really helped me be able to grow in that role. And they've all been so supportive of getting me to where I am today. Because when the opportunity did come up for becoming the office manager, my whole team did turn to me and go, well, obviously you'll go for it. And I was like, okay, that's really nice to have the team behind me. And I'm like, as I say, I wouldn't have been there without gathering all of their knowledge and expertise to make me a better caseworker and team member. And yeah, I'm really grateful for that experience.
If you're just watching this and you're thinking, my God, this is a career trajectory that I want to be on, we are actually currently recruiting for our next round of parliamentary internships. Sign up to our newsletter. The link should be on the screen just now. And check out our website as well to find more details about the current round, but also if you're maybe not yet fitting the criteria, sign up to the newsletter to not miss out on our future application rounds. Amy, let's dive a bit more into the actual... Sorry?
I say, do it now. Don't miss out on the opportunity.
Don't leave this call, but after you've watched this call, you can go and sign up. As we've just heard, you can do it in 24 hours. Apparently, it's possible. So there we go. Amy, let's dive a little bit more into your internship experience and what you actually did. So can you talk us through a bit, what were some typical tasks that you did during the internship? And was there a specific project or so that really stood out to you that you still remember?
Yeah, it feels like so long ago now, trying to think of it. What I did during my internship is I wrote a little diary at the end of each day, because I think someone had given that as a top tip in our kind of induction session. Because then when it came to like writing my CV afterwards, I was able to go, oh, I made phone calls, I wrote emails, I wrote congratulations letters, I sat in on this kind of meeting, I engaged with these kind of people. So it just meant I had a really great kind of draft of what my new CV was going to look like. And because I knew this would be top of my CV for ages. So yeah, what kind of tasks did I do? It was mainly, often they would try and get me in on a Friday, because that's when your MSP is often in the constituency. And that's pretty much your most interesting day in terms of getting to go out into the community and go and see people. But they would get me in on other days of the week to actually like focus in on the casework aspect of it. So I think I remember getting to read through a lot of what other caseworkers had done on different cases. A lot of them were to do with housing and seeing how they handled people who were in unsettled accommodation and what advice they would give them. I believe I would have been allowed to draft some responses, and obviously they would have checked them before I sent them out to begin with. But yeah, being able to get that first kind of communication with the constituents as well. That was really eye-opening to what people are going through in the area and how the local systems work, because we haven't all experienced all the different aspects of our local community. Not all of us will need to sign up to a housing association or use your local GP or report a pothole. Not everyone has the same experience. So it was interesting to see the different things that came into us. I definitely remember writing a lot of congratulations letters. And that was actually a really good task to get me to research these different organisations and learn who was important in the local community. And because we'd get a letter in from the National Lottery saying, so-and-so has won this amount of money in your constituency. So my office manager would be like, right, go research, who are they? Try and find out, have we met them before? And write them a letter and say, we'd love to come and visit. And sometimes a couple of weeks down the line, we'd get to go visit them. So it was nice to have that full circle experience. But as I say, most of the time I did get to spend a lot of time with Hamza out in the constituency, just shadowing him at meetings, seeing how he engaged with the community and the image he has to keep up in the local area, because it's really important to get him out and about and getting that face-to-face contact with people. So for me, I would just be taking notes in those situations, again, learning what's an important note to take. I think the first day I wrote verbatim what every single person was saying. By the end of the internship, it was just kind of quick action points on what he would want to follow up on. And there was a lot of taking photos. I remember taking a boomerang and thinking that was quite trendy, something cool I could add to the office, that I knew how to do a boomerang. So that feels very 2019. I haven't taken a boomerang in ages. So yeah, they were the kind of tasks that I had to do. I think you said, is there anything that stood out? I feel just the whole thing, getting to go out into different meetings. I think there was one meeting where we went to a post-prison service where it was about rehabilitation and getting people back into the community and really focusing on that support to stop the cycle of reoffending. And I found that visit very eye-opening as well. Again, a new setting that I wouldn't have been in, not many people would have been in, to get to meet people who had been through the prison service and speaking about the difficulties they faced afterwards. I think on the side I had a bit of a project to do about writing up some stats and figures about reoffending rates, especially with women, and looking at the links there. A bit of a task for me to kind of do when there was nothing else for an intern to do. But that was also really interesting to kind of be a bit more analytical and do that research side of thing. But for me, it's about engaging with the people. That's what I love the most.
Okay, you just preempted my next question. I was going to ask you what was the most rewarding aspect of your time in the program, but so you would say it was working with all kinds of people.
Yeah, definitely getting that face-to-face contact, whether it's people coming in or I was going out to see folk. That's also the most difficult bit about the job as well, because you're sadly seeing most often people at their worst. They're most vulnerable in the moment where they come to their MSP, almost always saying, I didn't know where else to turn, so I've come to you. What can you do? And you're seeing people who have tried everything and were a last resort. So that can be quite scary, because you don't know if we have any of the answers. But again, learn over my experience the last 5 years, being that ear to listen to and kind of clarify some things if they maybe haven't tried an avenue, they're not aware of something that they could do, or confirming, actually, no, you are in the right position for your needs just now. You're in the right waiting list for a housing or something. And sadly, it is a case of waiting. Sometimes giving them that reassurance that, no, you have done everything right is what they need to hear. And so, yeah, that's the most rewarding and the most difficult bit at the same time, I'd say.
Yeah. Is there something you wish you had known before your internship started? Anything that was unexpected that you didn't anticipate?
I mean, a lot of it was unexpected, to be honest. I think for me, as going back to 2019, I would have been 20. I think I was 20, 20 turning 21 when I did the internship. So for me, it was actually understanding what an MSP did. Like, I didn't even realize that they had a whole office and team behind them. I didn't really realize that people wrote to their MSP for help. And that was something that was completely new to me. And then realizing, sometimes when an MSP does write to a school or write to a group, I'm like, they didn't even write that. That was one of their members of staff. I remember that being like, I mean, that's what they want to do. And it's certainly what they would do themselves if they had no staff member, but that's why they have a team to do those things, and they just sign off it and go, yep, really happy with that, send it out. So I remember that being really eye-opening, being like, wow, so you can like sign off his name and it's not actually him that writes that email. And they were like, that's our job. That's what everyone does across the country. And so I remember that being quite interesting. I think, is there anything else that I wish I'd known? I don't know. I suppose, again, as I say, I think I was quite a bit young and maybe naive about like how politics worked, and maybe the role some politics would play into things, not in terms of the work that we would do as an office, but the amount of people that would come to us and tell us about, well, I voted for SNP, so hopefully you'll help me out, or someone saying, well, I'm really sorry, I don't vote for you, but could you help? I find that really interesting that people thought that would make a difference on whether we were going to help them or not. We had to always be like, to be honest, we don't care who you vote for, like you need assistance, that's what we're here for. So yeah, that was something that surprised me too.
Interesting, very interesting. So you've mentioned so many things that you worked on, so many tasks and challenges already you've mentioned as well. What would you say were the most valuable skills that you gained doing your internship that might still help you today, and especially as the constituency office manager for Hamza Yousaf MSP?
Yeah, I would say the number one is managing expectations. That's been a massive skill that I learned because, again, being quite naive going into this job, first proper like workplace outside of service industry. For me, it was, I think the first couple of phone calls I would get or interactions with people, you would hear their situation and of course would have immense amounts of sympathy for them. But then you would realize, well, they're not the only one in that situation. Sadly, a lot of people are in that situation, and realizing you can't fight 100% for every single individual. There's kind of, I don't know if I'm wording this correct at all. But as I say, when I say about managing expectations, letting people know that they've come to the right place, but that we're not the people who actually have all the solutions. I think that's what I mean. Saying we actually don't own any housing stock. We can't tell the NHS to make you get your hip operation tomorrow, even though your situation is awful. And I agree with you on the phone that that's terrible. You've waited 2 years, but we can't actually do that. So I think that was my most valuable skill, because at the beginning, I would have been like, absolutely, I'm going to phone the NHS and I'm going to tell them you must get your hip operation tomorrow. But then someone else would phone you with the same problem. And again, and you're like, oh yes, there's other people in that waiting list and the NHS are trying to get through it for a reason. You know, that kind of thought process from when I was younger. So I think that was really valuable to learn how to listen to people and help them feel heard, but help manage their expectations. And kind of in that similar vein, having productive conversations and addressing those difficult conversations in a productive way, by really listening and putting back to the constituent what they've told you, but then focusing on what can we do. Because a lot of the times people might want to look back at what's happened, and there's a time and a place for that, absolutely. But in the office, we've got to look, right, what can we do next? Where can we get you to the next goal so it feels productive and not just like a big vent and rant of upset, which is totally valid. But we're here to kind of put a pin in exactly what we can do. So I think that's been a very important skill to learn, and trying to embody that as a team. We're quite a small team, so hopefully it should be easier to get the whole team on board to have those kind of productive conversations with people. And I think we've all learned from each other. As a team, we'll hear someone on the phone and be like, well, that's a really good phrase that they've learned. I'm gonna use that in my next call with someone, because it really kind of helps focus the conversation back to being productive. So I'd say that's one of the key skills I'd learned from my internship. Always having pen and paper would be another skill that I learned, because there's nothing more awful than the feeling of when we were in a meeting and Hamza would turn to me and be like, Amy, can you take a note of their details? And I'd be like, oh, I left my pen and paper back in the office. And you're like, how am I meant to take notes? And sure, you get out your phone, but that looks quite unprofessional. I feel when people sometimes in some situations, get their phone out to take notes whilst everyone's talking. I was like, oh, they must just think I'm texting right now, but I'm actually doing my work. So having pen and paper would always be a very important and valid skill to learn from the internship, I'd say. And then in parallel with that, always keep your mind active in the conversation in the meeting. Because even if you have no clue what's going on in that meeting and you're feeling a bit bored and a bit like you have nothing to do, you're just there for a presence. You're never there for no reason. You're there to take the notes. And again, when Hamza turns to you to say, can you take down a note of their name? And you go, oh, I wasn't listening. So that was a big skill to learn in the internship, to be whilst I wasn't engaging actively with the speaking, because that wasn't my role as an intern, the active listening was very important.
I love that. That is such specific advice, even just for anybody, really. Pen and paper, always listen. That was really, really good. Would going on from that, so maybe a bit broader, not just looking at skills, but how would you say the internship help you grow professionally? Obviously, skills are part of that, but is there anything else that you would add to that?
Yeah, I suppose because I feel like I have matured alongside doing this job, entering at like 19, 20, and now I'm 25, 26 soon. So I suppose I've kind of matured anyway through that, and doing that alongside the office has been really interesting, progressing through the office too, and the different roles and responsibilities I took on. What was the question again? So I kind of get back on what was
how the internship helped you grow professionally. Yes, anything beyond the skills.
Exactly that. I think probably communicating with different organisations, different community groups, local authority, Scottish Government ministers. I suddenly had, a contacts list of quite important people. We shared a border, like a constituency border at the time with Nicola Sturgeon, who was First Minister. So suddenly I'm amongst the people who are celebrities in the political world, so that made me have to grow my communication, more through written communication. I'm not always the one speaking to them, but writing to them and being very professional in those settings, and representing Hamza as well. You realize you are representing yourself and your own work ethics, but you're also representing him and what he stands for and the standard of work that he expects. So that makes you have to grow professionally too, working on behalf of someone else. They are the most important thing, the thing that keeps you in a job. So, because without Hamza being in his job, we don't have a job. So, I think that experience of working for an MSP really did help with professional growth. And as I say, it does help that I continue to literally grow within the office, becoming, a caseworker, and then communications person, and then becoming office manager. Kind of did a bit of everything. So yeah, that helps too.
Very good. Is there anything, if you could go back, that you would do differently now in retrospective?
I don't think so. I think I was really happy with my experience and how I conducted myself during the internship, and I remember feeling at the time I was asking a million questions, and they must have been like, does this girl never shut up? Where's her off button? But I think actually that helped me really get to know the team, and as important as it is to have that connection with Hamza, your member, it's so important to get that with the team as well, because they're the people who are sat next to you each day. They're the people you go to for quick questions and advice. They're the people at the work socials, so being able to connect with them was fantastic. So I wouldn't take back a single question I asked them.
Very good. We've had some of the previous alumni on the session have said as well, asking questions was just a steep learning curve just to do that, because it's so important to do it. So you did it right, definitely. And you're an intern, that's what you're there for. You're there to learn. So you need to ask questions.
Definitely.
Yeah. So as I just said, we're in a round of applications just now. What would your advice be for someone who's maybe just thinking about applying for this specific program?
Totally. Yeah, I would say, well, do it. If you've read it and you have any kind of ounce of energy that feels good about it, then absolutely go for it. You've got nothing to lose. And if anything, it's going to make you really think about what your values are and what you want to do. And hopefully they align with the John Smith Centre and what the internship entails, and that'll shine through your application. So I think that was something I really focused on in my applications. It's the core value of wanting to help other people. It's not a way of progressing your political career. I feel some people maybe use it for that, and that's absolutely valid as well. But for me, in my experience, I feel it is about really helping people, and that's what the role is for. Because you are representing someone who's already an elected member. You're not trying to become the member yourself in that scenario. So I'd say, yeah, go for it. Think about your core values and make sure they shine in the application. Just answer the questions and all the essential criteria. Just make sure you give them no reason to put a tick next to each little thing you say.
Very good advice, especially around the values. I really value that answer. We're quickly approaching the half-hour mark here. Just one last question: where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, well, my family will laugh at this, but I see myself on Strictly Come Dancing, actually, as a professional dancer. Is always my career goal. I'm doing nothing about it, though. Nothing about it. I just feel like I'm somehow going to end up on there. But genuinely, I still see myself doing a job where I'm helping people. If I'm honest, I don't know if that's in this job. 5 to 10 years is a long time. I've already done it for 5 years, so I kind of feel the itch might come to try something else, but I don't know what that would be. I've always had a real interest in working for a charity. There's one in particular I love, Copperfield. I've done a lot of fundraising for them. They're a breast cancer awareness charity. And I recently did a trek with them last year and raised £4,000. So I love them. So I would love it if I was able to, thank you. I'd love it if I was able to work with them and get kind of doing events and fundraising and really kind of championing a specific cause. I think that should be what my answer is, championing a specific cause. Because in our office, you do see so many things, and you can start to feel a little bit like, gosh, how do we actually turn this around and make systems better? How do we improve the housing sector and tackling homelessness? But then at the same time, people need to use food banks, and there feels like there could be a million things, and that's too much for one person to do. So I think choosing my avenue, choosing my subject, and trying to really champion that cause and help people in that setting, I think is where I see myself.
I mean, maybe you're lucky and someone from Copperfield has just watched the session and you've planted that seed, that very first seed.
It's all I did on the trek last year. I went up to everyone who worked with them. I was like, hi, I'm Amy. I would love to work with you. How do I do that? And how do I do that without moving down south? Can I stay in Scotland and do that, please? Thank you. So I've no shame. I've no shame when it comes to it. That's why I said Strictly. You never know. I mean, Ed Balls, he could maybe give me a wee bit of a contact on how to get into Strictly. I would take it. Do you know?
Hey, and you've just said you learn to ask the right questions, and it sounds like you've done that, right? You're very much doing that. So good luck to you. We will end it with this on this lovely note. If you enjoyed the session, please know that we have many more of these sessions planned throughout the coming months. Just follow us on X, LinkedIn, or Instagram to make sure to not miss them. And as I said earlier, if you want to keep up with our work, please subscribe to our newsletter. Again, the link is just shown on the screen just now. Thank you very much to Amy for joining us today, and thank you very much to our viewers for spending your time with us. We'd love to know what you thought about this session, so please, if you have just a couple minutes to fill in a super quick survey, that would be really, really much appreciated, and the link is on the screen just now. That's it for today. Thank you very much, and until next time, have a good day, and bye for now.
Thank you.